Hello, everybody. Welcome. First and foremost, we're going to talk about just basic real estate fundamentals. I speak to a lot of people that are looking to get into real estate investing, and they don't really understand how things actually work. And what I mean by that is that real estate is a very simple business. Sometimes, we look at the media and we tend to overcomplicate things. Okay, if we look at in a normal market, in a strong market, okay, the line for real estate value goes like that. Okay, this is what we call equilibrium. Every market has this line. Okay, most markets, the line is an upward trend. Other markets, maybe like a Detroit, for instance, that mark would be a downward trend. And the way that we understand this trend is by a simple concept. I'm sure you heard this before. All right, supply and demand. Okay, so let's talk about demand. What factors influence demand? Okay, obviously, population is the biggest factor that influences demand. All right, so if population is increasing, what we're going to see is obviously the demand for housing increase. Why? There's more people to an area. There's going to need to be more housing to fulfill that demand. Okay, and the catalyst for population growth is obviously jobs. Okay, so if you have a area where there's strong job growth, and obviously there's population that's going to follow that job growth, we're going to see an increase in demand for real estate. Okay, and this is offset by a fundamental we call supply. Okay, now supply includes existing housing and also housing that needs to come onto the market. Okay, so as this demand increases, typically supply comes on the market to actually increase that demand. So markets that have a high barrier entry of supply, meaning that it's very hard to add supply to that market. For instance, like in New York City, in areas that have that demand, that population and job growth, what happens is we see increased appreciation. Okay, so these are very simple concepts that you need to understand. And obviously, going forward, I'm going to erase my little supply and demand right here. And let's talk about this line. We all know that real estate values fluctuate. Okay, it doesn't stay the same. Okay, typically what happens, we understand that it's an upward trend, but it's a lot more volatile than this. I'm gonna say a little depending on where you're at. So we look at real estate values, it tends to look something like this. And obviously this is not to scale, okay? Where we have a little bit highs and lows, but obviously the trend is upward. We understand that for most markets, if you do hold, then over the long term, you'll see an appreciation in value, okay? What this line represents, okay, this wiggly line, is really the effect that the availability of financing has on the real estate market. So at this point, right here, when financing is extremely difficult to get, okay, and there's not a lot of loans or banks are not lending, okay, real estate values are down here. Now, a sophisticated investor, they understand this line, okay, they understand this line. So it doesn't make sense in an area where population is growing, where there's job growth, okay, and we have real estate values that are sinking. It doesn't add up. So they understand that when prices are down here, there's value to be had. Okay, this is the area where most people would say this is a down market. I don't want to invest right now. But the sophisticated people, they understand this line, and they're saying, all right, we're in. As real estate increases, all right, lending gets easier, easier, easier. It gets equilibrium where normal lending is, and then all of a sudden lenders start getting aggressive, 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 and then we peak. Okay, so we get to this point and we peak. Okay, now most people at this point, if you're listening to the media and you listen to, the newspapers, what they're telling you is that this is a great real estate market. The sophisticated investor understands that pricing is way overvalued. Housing is way overvalued right now. Okay, at this point, they're looking to actually sell and get out of the market because they understand what's about to happen because pricing is overvalued. Okay, then as we drop again, okay, obviously lenders feel they overextended themselves, and then they cut, and now they're not lending anymore. So they're not lending, not lending, and obviously values, it continues to go down. And this is when the sophisticated investor jumps back into the market. Okay, so the best thing that I can tell you is that when you look at your market, understand this line, and this is how you figure this line out. The first thing you figure out is population growth. Is it increasing or decreasing? Okay, or is it stable? Okay. The second thing you're gonna figure out is supply. How is built is supply able to meet demand? And what I mean by that, what are the constraints on development? You know, is there a lot of land in that area? Is it very easy to develop? Because if it is, it's very likely that it may get overdeveloped. And the third thing that we're going to look at, obviously, is lending, and to see where lending is at, and see if it's extremely aggressive, and we're seeing pricing increase too much, then we understand that values are overpriced, and if lending is decreasing and lending is not happening, then we understand that there's value in the real estate market. Okay, so just some simple fundamentals that you can take with you and really understand your marketplace. Wherever you do decide to invest, make sure you do your research and understand its equilibrium. This will make you more of a sophisticated investor and be able to catch eye-popping deals, you know, obviously going forward and into the future. Okay? Have a good one, guys.